Welcome in. This is Big Question here on Morning Kick Around. It's been talked about for a while, and the conversation continues to progress. And we kind of get to the core of the question: what should the role of college soccer be? Should college soccer be a NCAA program moving forward? There's also talks of it becoming maybe more of a USSF responsibility. But the conversation goes a step farther by the basketball, the FIBA, the International Basketball Association, petitioning to NCAA to kind of have transfers be viewed as professional rather than how it's been in the NCAA. And this might actually roll into soccer. Your thoughts on this, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, let's do the background first. Let's inform people why we're talking about this. And there's a couple different threads we're pulling on for college soccer, right? And in college soccer, let's also first say that college soccer is a foundational part of American soccer, right? At times when there was no major outdoor national men's soccer league, college soccer was a thing, right? College soccer was being played. There were places that cared very much about college soccer. And obviously college soccer, if we're going to talk about the women's game, is a massive part of why we have had 5-time women's champions, right? Because Title IX brings in opportunity for women to play soccer in college, and then we get college players who become professionals who go win World Cups. Like we have to thank college soccer for its role in our game. And so we care about it, right? And in a changing world, it obviously becomes something you want to talk about. And so this is over on X, over on the Everything app or whatever it is. The FIFA proposal to the NCAA that player movement from FIBA clubs to NCAA teams be treated as the same as transfers between FIBA clubs. So, obviously, we're talking about players who play overseas and then come over here, get a scholarship and play in college basketball. Right? This would essentially treat the NCAA as another pro league. Now, this is from Matt Winter Sports Law. Follow-up from friend of the show, Professor Stephen Bank of UCLA. I would not be surprised if FIFA asks for the same. International transfer certificates and transfer fees if eligible. That might hasten the move of D1 soccer teams outside of the NCAA ecosystem and into the U.S. soccer sanctioned leagues. Now, this, I think at times this has kind of been, for some people, almost like a dream, Rob, this idea that the NCAA system could become another way to develop players and that they would kind of fall into a more traditional, I don't know if that's the right view, because although we love college soccer, one thing you have to say about college soccer, Rob, is it's kind of weird. Like the rules are kind of weird. They only play that short season in the fall before they ramp up to the very quick run through the College Cup in December usually. And, players. And then, and I know that you live in a world where college players are constantly looking for more opportunities to play when they're out of season because college soccer only gives them a little bit. And so that part of it, I think, is interesting. Well, give me your thoughts on just this idea of turning the NCAA into effectively a professional league in terms of how players are treated via movement.
I think if this transition, if and when it happens, could really unlock quite a bit for the American soccer player development scheme, because as it stands now, youth teams are funneled to travel teams, and travel teams, they sell themselves on getting your kid into college. And the majority of players in their teen years playing at travel teams are doing that with the goal of making college teams. And then so once you're in college, that season doesn't look like what professional players do. Professional environments don't play 30 games in 3 months or something wild that they do. It only makes sense. So if this is the primary development tool, it doesn't make sense for them to do it in a completely different way than a professional world would do. They still have rolling substitutions that they don't really train in season. They're basically just recovering from the next one game. And then they play 2 days later.
When they're out of season, they can't train. By the rules of the NCAA, they can't train with their teams. They have to do club things and to get around all this stuff. It's really odd. And again, college soccer has history and college soccer can be great, but it can be odd. there is also, again, we're kind of pulling together a bunch of threads. There's the NIL stuff, right? The way that that's impacted college football, college basketball, not just those sports. It's impacting every sport. How is that? Like you may not, college soccer may not be able to hold together the way it is anyway, in light of what's happening with the NIL rules and the way that money has come into those other revenue sports. So should soccer kind of be thinking about different ways to move forward in that world? And again, looking to a plan to make college soccer different, this is a synopsis of some things that have come out, and this has been years. And as I was telling Rob before this show, when I was doing USS, my old radio show focused only on American soccer, I talked to people about this many times. And I'm talking 5 years ago, 6 years ago. People like Sasha Sarofsky of Maryland, who are pushing for reforms in college soccer. So this is from USMNT Prospects over on X, I think, from October of 2024. So this is a outline. College soccer on the verge of a monumental shift in the new landscape. And this person who's anonymous, I don't know who this is. And again, we're taking this with a grain of salt because of that. But again, lots of this has kind of been reported in other places. A shift coming. They want to make it a full-time season. That's been an idea for a long time. So a pro calendar kind of thing. No 3-month season anymore. So a spring element in addition to the fall element. The timing of this shift happening in 2025, 26, or 2026, 27. Don't know about any of that right now. So again, U.S. soccer will be involved as a governing body and or a power broker. Numerous sources have expressed their active role in making this work. There are 2 major conferences signed on board, ACC and Big Ten. Top 40, 50 programs in college soccer are lining up their ducks in a row to go to the NCAA and ask them to cooperate. NCAA is losing amateurism battle right now in many sports. We just mentioned that with NIL. They don't have much leverage. The pitch would be working cooperation with U.S. soccer in this venture, or will completely break away and join U.S. soccer by themselves. Maybe there's some sort of middle ground here. We're still under the NCAA, but we've got some U.S. soccer elements here. Semi-professional, essentially, is what they're talking about. And again, like, I would have to talk to college soccer people, Rob, to get a sense of how they feel about that kind of thing. Because that would be transformative, right? That would be massive. But at the same time, in an era when so much college soccer is being dominated by programs who are just offering scholarships and bringing in foreign players, many of whom who've come through professional academies abroad, it doesn't feel tenable to do things the way we always used to do them. Like, there don't seem to be more. I mean, Patrick Agyemang is an exception a little bit, but this isn't the same world that developed Taylor Twellman and Clint Dempsey and go on and on and on. And as the chat has been saying, we've always known that college soccer and its role as the developer is questionable when these players come out of the system at 21 and 22 behind the curve compared to their peers abroad.
Yeah, and through multiple conversations with people all over the way, that's where Americans lose their players most, is between 16 and 20 is when, travel teams go to various tournaments overseas and do just fine, hold their own, and even win big competitions at the U16 level. But when you get to the U18 level is where there's a huge drop off. And then a 20-year-old here that's gone through college compared to a 20-year-old who's been in a professional system over there is just night and day. I was speaking with one of the OCFC players who's a Scottish guy who said that, he's the same age as Conor Gallagher, and Conor Gallagher has played for Chelsea and now plays in Italy, and he was the same age and he's in college playing 3 months.
Yeah, look,
that's not a equal playing field.
Obviously Major League Soccer and the USL for that matter has moved past this idea that college soccer is going to be its major source of new talent. Like, obviously in the beginning, when MLS didn't have academy structures and wasn't investing in development, we'll just go draft kids out of college. That's sort of a baked in developmental system for us. It obviously works for the NFL and the NBA because there are no other leagues competing for players. And so you just go get the best players out of those sports. In soccer, because you are competing for players with leagues around the world, it's not really tenable. If you want to improve your quality, if you want to develop good players, you're going to have to take it upon yourself. And MLS has done that to its credit. What that means is often the best players aren't going to college. Then those college programs are going, we want to win championships, and the best American players aren't available to us because they're going to play in an academy, whether it's MLS or USL or whatever. And so let's go get a kid out of Scotland or Germany or Hungary or whatever it is. And as I said, and again, people, various stakeholders, I can't believe I'm using that word after I complained about it, are kind of getting involved in this conversation. And it reminded me as we bring this up today that Chris Cillizza, who is a political pundit recently of CNN, he no longer works there, but he has his own Substack. Back in December, right after the national title game, when Vermont beat Marshall, he went on kind of a screed over on his Substack about the foreign influence on college soccer. Basically, he says this is a problem because college soccer should be a developmental pipeline for American players. And again, maybe we've kind of like, well, we don't really care about college soccer anymore because we have academies. But if that system already exists, and to the point of these reforms, why wouldn't we try to maximize what is already there? If you turn college soccer into a semi-professional developmental tool, that is one of the best networks of clubs essentially on the planet, Rob. Just like turnkey right there.
Yeah, and there's plenty of towns across the United States that already have built-in like fan bases and followings at various college towns across the way. That if all of a sudden, the landscape, like college teams or at least select college teams join the club landscape, there's a lot more teams and towns involved in the same sphere. It's those teams are, working on a completely different plane, and they probably have certain programs that had success. There's been generations following that, but it doesn't fit into any of the boxes of the club world at all as it stands.
Yeah.
And
look,
so we're kind of
it's not
developing. And if you think about the pathway, another conversation you talk to people overseas, you're a young player, you show a lot of promise, maybe, and then it's up to the player and their ability for the most part to make it professional or not. If you're a 14-year-old American, what is the clear pathway to becoming a professional soccer player? It is a muddled mess.
If you don't live anywhere near an MLS team, or you can't get picked up by an MLS team because there's only so many spots or whatever. I mean, this is why some of these MLS clubs have decided to do networks of various youth clubs around their region and try to stitch it all together. And they're trying to funnel all these things. And of course, there are people who are very provincial and very territorial, and clubs that have existed long before MLS teams came to town, and they resent the fact their best players are being taken away by MLS teams and put into academies. And again, all of this is, we're not all pulling in the same direction, because we've never done that before, and we don't know how to do it now, and people don't know how to relinquish, and we don't want to trust just one MLS team to do the best by every kid in a particular region. And yeah, the more opportunities to play at a reasonably high level or to get tested against talented players, the better. There are lots of things about college soccer that are iffy, but there's lots of reasons to think it could be a major benefit to American soccer to involve it more directly in our pipeline. But again, and we have reached a point, Rob. I'm a college football fan going way back. I was watching College Game Day every Saturday morning from the age of 6 years old. Like I would watch games from teams I never heard of because I loved the sport that much.
Yeah.
But the days of college football amateurism, they're over. I mean, at the top level, they're over. You can watch D3 and it's pure, whatever, but it's over. And if that's happening, college basketball as well, then we can't hold on to this romantic notion that we're going to keep doing student athletes, and that these players are just there for their education, and that the scholarship is their reward, and there's nothing we're past that now. So college soccer is going to have to respond to a changing landscape when it comes to college sports, regardless of how it works with sort of US soccer and FIFA and all of that.
Getting anyone in soccer from different organizations to get along and agree on a change is pretty difficult. And in college, even more so. So on Morning Talk Radio this morning, a topic came up about college football and promotion relegation, which kind of surprised me because that's something I've been yarning on about for many years. And then also this about the NCAA soccer getting their act together, whether it be a club model or year-round model. What happens first, pro rela college football or a year-round program at the college soccer level?
Wow. I think probably the college thing happened. The soccer thing happens first. Man, that's interesting. I mean, look, college football needs to chill. I mean, just for me, Like so I can get used to whatever's happening before they change the system again. I'd like that. But yeah, I mean that it's a fascinating idea. It really is. It's a fascinating idea.
The
Why
arguments
not?
against promotion and relegation in college football are pretty thin now. When they were having the radio call-in debate, it was like ruining traditions. Well, almost all the traditions are blown out of the water. Cupcake
Absolutely.
games. People don't like, big teams scheduling like half their schedule against lower opponents. If they're playing against teams that have earned their way into that same division, they probably would be competitive games week
Yeah,
in,
well,
week out.
just like anything else, Rob. And that's a fun debate to have.
Yeah.
The nuts and bolts details of it is the problem, right? And then it's the problem that we've talked about here when it comes to USL instituting ProRel just within their leagues. And imagine if you threw MLS into the mix. People have to get together and agree, well, these teams are going to be first division right now, and these teams will be second division, and these teams will be third division. And nobody wants to be in the second division to start. Nobody wants to be in the third division to start. You can try to execute some massive tournament, but even that is a questionable way to determine who's good enough and who's not. And, again, it's just those things like getting people, a blue ribbon committee to agree on how to actually formulate this plan. That is the big question.
How hype would it be then? Winning percentage over the next 5 seasons determines your placement for the new ProRel structure.
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's do that. The next 5 seasons. But again, okay, so
But anything could happen in 5 years in college football as it
well,
stands
no,
now.
but and even then, you're still talking about like, okay, so you say, oh, the top. I don't know how many. What's the number we're talking about here? Like, what are we talking about in terms of numbers? Because I don't want to talk college football. This is not a college football show. I will be interested in this. I'll go find something about it, but it's not for us.
Yeah. Well, let the debate rage on, shall we say? But maybe like 5 20-team divisions, pretty sick college football. But that conversation can go on another day. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's edition of Morning Kick Around. And if you're watching this and you haven't hit the subscribe button, do so now. Easy, free, won't cost you a darn thing.
Tell somebody. Please do that. Like you don't want to throw any cash our way. We get it. We understand. We're not, we're not going to be mad at you, but just tell somebody that we're here. Tell a friend. Tweet it, post it, skeet it, whatever.
Refer a friend, as they say. And if you want to go beyond the free subscriber model, you can become a member. $3.99 a month is all it'll cost you, and you'll get access to the Discord channel, priority access to videos and commenting, and much, much more. Just $3.99 for the membership. You can find us on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. We're a podcast. Search Morning Kick Around on your favorite audio platform. And if you'd like to subscribe or contribute outside of the YouTube world, coffee.com/Morning Kick Around. You can do a customized one-time contribution or something bigger and reoccurring. It is customizable over there at coffee.com/Morning Kick Around.
Perfect.
You had something else to say? You had a word right on the tip of your tongue. You wanted to say something super positive that will have us float through the rest of our Monday. What is it?
It's an incredible time to be a soccer fan in America, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It is absolutely incredible to be a soccer fan right now. There are so many things happening. It is not boring. Be thankful for that.
All right. Until Wednesday, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.